Have to forgive me, my French is not all that, but my Creole is on par. So welcome to St. Lucia, everybody. And my name is Jade Brown. I am the Communications Officer attached to the Universal Health Coverage Unit. And it is my esteemed pleasure to welcome you all here today for the 3rd International Symposium on Snakebite Envenoming and One Health under the theme New Approaches to Combat Snakebite Envenomations, integrating the One Health perspective. Once again, welcome and welcome to the Harbor Club St. Lucia. Of course, with everything, we must start with prayer. So I welcome you all to stand, and I call to the podium Ms. Patrice Lewis, M&E Officer of the Universal Health Coverage, who will lead us in a word of prayer.
Thank you, Jane. Good evening, everyone. We'd like to bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity just to gather here, just to give you praise, and just to glorify your name, Lord. We commit this entire conference into your hands, Lord. We pray over every sector that is represented here, from our government officials and ministers to our firemen, our first responders, our nurses, our doctors, our farmers, and the like, Lord. We thank you for unity. We thank you for peace over our island, St. Lucia, and even the islands represented here, like our sister island, Martinique. We pray for every session. We thank you, Lord, that it will be productive, it will be purposeful, and it will be impactful. We pray that everyone comes in safely and goes home safely. We commit this entire conference into your hands. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Please remain standing for the national anthems of France and St. Lucia. Miss Alison Joseph, Consul General of St. Lucia to the French Antilles and French Guyana. Ms. Jenny Daniel, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Elderly Affairs of St. Lucia. Dr. Glensford Joseph, Medical Officer of Health. Other heads of government departments and chief technical officers. Deputy Director of the Université des Antilles, Martinique, Mr. Alexander, and of course, I would like to also welcome the staff of the various ministries and especially invited guests once again to this 3-day symposium and of course the opening ceremony. First and foremost, we would like to send our apologies to all of you, our Honorable Minister of Health, Honorable Moses Jean-Baptiste, and also our Director of Universal Health Coverage is unable to be with us today as they are out on work duties. However, we do have a very specially recorded message and welcome message from Dr. Alicia Eugene Ford, Director of Universal Health Coverage.
Please allow me to adopt the protocol that has already been established and wish everyone a pleasant good afternoon. The management of snake bites is another service within the essential package of health services under Universal Health Coverage. This is a service that is earmarked to be officially launched during the financial year 2024-2025. Having stated this, one could only imagine how important, timely and appropriate this Snakebite Envenoming Symposium is. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs collaborated with the University Hospital of Martinique to allow this third Caribbean Snakebite Envenoming Symposium over the next few days. The theme: New Approaches to Combat Snakebite Envenomation, Integrating One Health Perspective, should really encourage all of us to see, to successfully manage snake bites, one must involve other career professionals from various walks of life. As you can see, we have a packed agenda that will educate farmers, chiefly on prevention of snake bites, emergency medical technicians or ambulance teams on field care of snake bite victims, clinical teams on clinical management of snake bites, and the forestry officers on how to preserve the Furdilus, which is endemic to St. Lucia. One might ask, why protect such a poisonous snake? The St. Lucia Furdilus is an endemic species to St. Lucia and it's at a high risk of extinction. There is ongoing decline in the species population, and the infrequent but dangerous interactions between human beings and the snakes highlight the need for a plan to protect human lives and preserve this endemic species. Our local data in St. Lucia shows that between November 2007 and March of 2018, there were 104 reported snake bites in St. Lucia, resulting in 3 deaths. WHO estimates that over 3 million snake bites worldwide, there are 100,000 deaths and 400,000 permanent disabilities. This symposium will provide us with the opportunity to discuss and educate on all what is needed to strike this needed balance between the protection of human lives and snake preservation. They will also have discussions on the use of the venom, the availability and the action of the anti-venom, and the need to develop a snakebite registry. All of this will allow our island of St. Lucia to better manage snake bites. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs recognizes the importance of the University Hospital of Martinique, the snakebite specialists from Martinique and other countries, as well as all participants who have been invited. Your support and commitment are invaluable. The Universal Health Coverage Unit and its parents ministry of the Ministry of Health wants to wish you a warm and hearty welcome to this symposium, and we are eagerly looking forward to your full participation throughout. Thank you.
I'm sure she's watching across the globe. Good evening to you, Dr. Eugene. And of course, you heard there that she mentioned just last year there were 104 snake bites. And for many of us, it hits home because we're from down the coast. We're from these areas where the snake population is quite prevalent. Moving swiftly along, I would like to welcome to the podium Dr. Glensford Joseph, Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, to deliver some remarks.
Mistress of Ceremony, Jade Brown, while I take this opportunity to adopt the protocol so established, allow me to acknowledge the presence of Ms. Alison Joseph, our consulate, Ms. Jenny Daniels, Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, Professor D'Abord Rosier, Professor Critical Care Medicine, Therapeutic and Toxicology at the Hospital University Martinique, participants, invited guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Glensford Joseph, Medical Officer of Health within the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs. It brings me great pleasure to deliver these remarks from the Office of the Chief Medical Officer at this historic event, where we gather to mark the opening of the 3rd International Symposium on Snakebite Envenomation here in St. Lucia. I have had the opportunity to attend the 2nd Snakebite Symposium held in Martinique in November 2023, which was of great success as it provided us with significant information to return to St. Lucia. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs supports this 3rd conference and welcome you to this beautiful island of St. Lucia. This symposium marks another milestone in the Martinique-St. Lucia collaboration on health, as we seek to collectively address this neglected tropical disease as recognized by the World Health Organization in 2017, following a proposal presented by governments of Costa Rica and 17 additional countries. This symposium will provide the opportunity to exchange knowledge among health, allied health, and other professionals, including policymakers, through the many presentations, consultations, discussions on snake envenoming. Like many Caribbean countries, St. Lucia has venomous snakes. The only one, the St. Lucia lance head, also called the St. Lucia furtherlands or the St. Lucia viper, is found mainly in the tropical areas and coastal plains of St. Lucia, including areas like the Roseau Canaries on the west coast and Dennery, Prasley on the east coast, with specimens kept in Kentucky Reptile Zoo in the United States. This conference will allow participants to better understand snakebite envenoming and inform the advancement of effective health policies, programs, and best practices in St. Lucia and the wider Caribbean, through specific outputs from research done on the Caribbean and other territories. According to the 2021 World Health Organization report, worldwide, up to 1.8 million bites from venomous snakes occur annually, causing 20,000 to 90,000 deaths. In St. Lucia, The annual average of snake envenoming is about 7.3. We know there is no point, but we take it about 8.3, ranging from 3 to 15 over the 2011-2023 period. We note the wide range of impacts of snakebite envenoming on individuals' health that can devastate their livelihood with significant socio-economic losses, and also on the health sector with the need for additional resources to manage these cases. St. Lucia is thankful for the access to the Polyval ICP, otherwise the polyvalent snake antivenom, with activity against the Botrops asper, one of the species of the venomous snakes, and other species from Costa Rica through the Pan American Health Organization. I will allow our presenter at his intervention to provide more information as it relates to the profile of envenoming in St. Lucia, as it relates to the Botrops caribeus. As a result, we do look forward to the presentations that will elucidate the profile of St. Lucia, Furtherlands, envenoming, and outcomes with the opportunity to compare with other territories, as this evidence-based approach will allow for the strengthening of systems in health and other sectors, including the agricultural sector, to better mitigate against the negative outcomes associated with snakebite envenoming. Professor Dabor here and his team are well positioned to analyze the determinants, preventive measures, and interventions to address snakebite envenoming at the individual and clinical levels. Identified solutions must incorporate an integrative, multi-sectoral public health approach with inputs from local, national, regional, and international stakeholders as we attempt to mitigate against the negative impact of this neglected tropical disease. In concluding, on behalf of the government and people of St. Lucia, through the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Elderly Affairs, I bid you well during this third International Symposium on Snakebite Envenoming and One Health, and look forward to the positive social change to be derived from this conference. In addition to the visitors, you must take some time to visit the Pitta and other scenic sites in beautiful St. Lucia. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. And now, as Dr. Joseph enticed you to visit the scenic sites around St. Lucia, we want you to sample one of the very best talents in St. Lucia, Mr. Rashad Joseph. You're up. Rashad will be playing some musical renditions for us, and we encourage you, of course, to reflect on what Dr. Joseph just said as well. Thank you, Rashad. Please put your hands together for Rashad. Like I said, he's a talent. We have a slight change to our agenda, a welcome addition to our agenda perhaps. Deputy Director of the Université des Antilles, Martinique, Mr. Rodrigue Alexander, I would like to call on you to make a few remarks.
Hello, now the protocol has been established, ladies and gentlemen, in your capacities. I will like first to apologize our CEO, Jérôme Lebrière, who is in the United States for the week and asked me to represent the Universal Hospital of Martinique and especially the management team, because there are so many doctors from the hospital with us today. It's a great pleasure for me to be there with you, especially because some of you don't know, my parents come from St. Lucia, even if you don't feel it on the level of my English, but I'm also a St. Lucia citizen and I'm proud of it. My week was a nice week. We start on Wednesday with Professor Christina Yosif. Christina, lève-toi une seconde. With Professor Christina Yosif. We came for a cooperation mission. We start on Tuesday. Yesterday morning, we was received by OKU and have a fruitful discussion on medical imaging services offered by the CHU of Martinique. We could discuss about administrative facilities to take care of the St. Lucian in our hospital, and some biomedical equipment donation that I'm working with the Consulate General of St. Lucia and Martinique, Alison Joseph. I think we'll be able to end it for the end of the year. The afternoon was in Tapion, a very useful also meeting with some images facilities presentation, a new platform of telemedicine that we call ROFIM. I'm very sure that will be easier for you to have some access to specialist advice by the tele-expertise. So it's a free service that we're doing from the CHU of Martinique for the St. Lucian. So I hope it will be used from next month to next year. And we finish with a 4 hours teaching session done by the Professor Yusuf about pathology rate in interventional neuroradiology, especially stroke, aneurysm, and arteriovenous malformation. It was very nice because in the 3 hours, we get some useful case that has been bring from OKU patient that now hospitalized and in Tapion, and she was saying like, do that or do that, send it for me next week. So I think it's that kind of cooperation we like. I think Dabo will be agree with me. It's human exchange. It's a clear vision of care, administrative facilities, and the clinic in the part heart of the discussion. And that's important for me, a mutual respect without patronizing from the French to the St. Lucian. So now, today we're not there to talk about neurology or radiology. We are there to talk about snakebite. And I think that third meeting can show us that we're not only there for research, we're there also to in the term of concrete development in clinical management of the snakebite, and we've seen it every day in Martinique. Every day I arrive there for 3 years, and I know the job they are doing. So I would like to thank everyone, especially Professor Rezier, Jonathan Florentin, and their team for their ambition, their simplicity, their dedication to cooperation, their daily commitment without counting the hours. We arrive in very early in the hospital and we leave in very late, and I'm seeing them, and the organization of this wonderful congress. So good work to all. Bon congrès à tous. Ce sera plus facile pour moi en français. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. And of course, we are here at the International Symposium on Snakebite. It is a collaboration between our colleagues from Martinique and France, and of course the Ministry of Health here in St. Lucia. This is of course a momentous occasion. And we are very active on social media. Those of you who do not follow the Ministry of Health social media page, please do so. And if you do not follow Universal Health Coverage, of course, please do so as well. If you are posting to social media, please use the hashtag Snakebite Symposium 2024. That's Snakebite Symposium 2024. It is very important that not just us within the room receive the message, but everybody, in the communities as well. So please do follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. Right now, I would like to call on Dr. Dabo Rezier, Professor, Critical Care Medicine, Therapeutics, and Clinical Technology at the University Hospital of Martinique.
Good evening, good afternoon, evening or afternoon. I'm very glad to be here at home. It's always great to come to St. Lucia, but I'm a little bit sad because somebody's not here. I'm talking about DJ Martin, who invited me to come to his country. I didn't invite by Derek Walcott. by DJ. I would like you to stand up, and we're going to observe 1 minute for this great man, please. Thank you. To the government of St. Lucia, the Prime Minister received me the other day in his office. I didn't know if he likes pens. I have to bring a pen for him, but I didn't have time to buy it. To my friend Henry, who is part of the government, to Moises, Mr. Moises, Joseph, the Minister of Health, to my colleagues from Tapion, from all over the world, okay, EU and French. The good thing, we don't talk about public and private. We talk about doctors, we talk about patients. To the people of St. Lucia, I think I came here the first time. For the first time, I fall in love with this country. And I can't forget also some people. I will forget, but I have too much friends. But to Kids Compton, he was, and he's a friend. He did help me a lot. When I used to talk about snakebite, he told me, no, that one day we'll do something here. I don't know if he's here, but I don't want to forget. It's not a speech. I'm not going to be long. I have 5 minutes. So, to my friends, I don't want to say anything about doctors. To Dr. Eugene, who for this past 6 months, she has been working with me to organize this big. I can say big. I see a lot of people. Dr. Eugene, thank you very much. And she said to me, don't forget to say that snake management, I'm going to read what she put in the WhatsApp, as a service on the universal health coverage. I read it. To Josue, he's the guy. Where is he? No, go, come. He's the guy. He's very hard with me, so he said to me, no, you need to send that to me. He's Jose. He's the one to organize everything with me. Thank you very much, sir. To Jonathan. Well, Jonathan is my left hand, so why not? To the guys who work with me for the first time, they are here, and the snake, stand up. This is my team. Those guys, they are learning from the big Aaron from Costa Rica. They are learning how to deal with they are good, but they're not so good like him. So they have to learn more, but they're coming on. To my good friend from UK, Mr. Ion Cameron, who came easier. And we have Guillermo, we have... To my friend from Brazil, this is the first time we are together. They are working very hard, and they are doing some good research, good work. And I'm very glad to receive them. Dr. Jacqueline was in my thesis. She's there, from Brazil, Manaus. And Dr. Moteo, who is a guy, every week he has 2 or 3 papers, articles, plus. He's a plus guy, if you want to talk to him. To my 2 mentors, I have 2 here. The first one is Professor Nevier, but he's shy. He's over there. Big guy. I don't want to be like Trump when he's a big guy, but It's not the guy we have to follow. I would like to say thank you to Professor Gutierrez. Professor Gutierrez, let me give you an anecdote. I have 2 minutes, two more. I have a lot of people I don't say anything yet. So, anecdote is, in 2016, I came here, and I was talking to Gigi. I said, I'm very upset. Gigi said, why? Dabo, why are you upset? I said, no, I'm upset. Because I have seen a paper from someone named Gutierrez. He's from Costa Rica. He said, he's a big man. I said, no. Because he's the one to write about our snakes. Fer de lance is our snake. He's our own snake. Didier said, come down. Dabo, take that. It was the email, Dr. Gutierrez emails, Professor Gutierrez emails. He said to me, send him an email, talk to him. This is what I did in 2016. I remember my email. I said, dear Professor Gutierrez, I would like to visit your country, Haiti and Pura Vida. And he received me in 2016. This is how the relationship starts. And today, DJ is not here, but we can bring everybody here, especially Professor Gutierrez, for the youngest and the intern or whatever, because until next year I'm going maybe retired. So this is a good opportunity for you to have here with you this big guy. And I would like you to give a big to my people in Martinique. I was going to say St. Lucia, but I already said that. To my people in Martinique, to Laminar, the CHU of Martinique, is your hospital. Sometimes I don't think, for me, medical cooperation is about sending us a patient because we don't have space, we cannot take the patient, we get upset. No, that's not medical cooperation. Medical cooperation is that exchange that we have every day to Benjamin, to Rommel, to everyone, to all of doctors here. We have to stop that because in very difficult cases, we will be there for you. And I would like to thank the University of Costa Rica for putting the effort to put here down a good antivenom. Things that we didn't do in Martinique. I felt bad because when I received the call from PAHO, they wanted to put antivenom here available, but it was much more expensive to get our antivenom, and they had to call Costa Rica, and I think it's a free antivenom. So this symposium, I think we will come out, Professor Gutierrez, with some high recommendation and about One Health, about really the possibility to put everywhere that antivenom, no matter what, because we got money to spend for wars, we got money to send everywhere, or money, tax money, but we need, Iron is there, we'll talk about that. We need to bring something, we will call it St. Lucia recommendation, or I don't know, universal, or DJ recommendation, I don't know. I would like to say thank you to my CEO. He's not here, but Rodrigue is the number 2, I can say. He's working hard with me, and he's a friend. And you see, he's a very, very brilliant, very good guy. Thank you very much. We would like to say thank you also to the chief of SAMU. Usually, when you have a patient, you have to call SAMU to organize it. He's there, Professor Papagay. thank you to Miss Alison. She's going to tell me d'abord, you know, you have to call my name first. But she's a friend. She's not only the consulate of St. Lucia. She's a good friend of mine. I went to her place. I can eat. So good food. When I miss the food from St. Lucia, I can go. She's a friend. She's doing a good job over there, and we love her. I don't know if I forget somebody, but I have a friend from Paris, Professor L'Apostol. He's there. I used to be his intern, so we used to work together in ICU. I'm very glad he's with his beautiful wife, and so thank you very much. To those who cannot make it, Professor Bruno Megaban, he's in Paris. I think he's listening to me. Professor Atem Kalel, who cannot be here with us, but I'm working with Kalel from French Guiana for many years. Everything I have done is with him and others. To my colleagues at the University Hospital of Martinique, I'm too long, so to all of you, I love you so much and thank you very much, and I will believe that will be a great one, this symposium tonight. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dabo. And of course, we have a little addition to our program. I would like to welcome the head of regional cooperation, Ms. Christine Bourgeois. Christiane.
Good afternoon, good evening, I don't know, everybody. Please allow me to adapt the protocol already established. Dear Professor Rizière, what a pleasure to meet you back home. Because, first of all, I have to say congratulations to the Ministry of Health and the University Hospital of Martinique for organizing this very important symposium. I used to be a hospital administrator in the University Hospital of Martinique for 7 years, and I came in the hospital in 2016, so that's when I met Professor Rizière. Wasn't a professor at that time, was Dr. Rizière, very passionate about all kinds of challenges. Today, I work in the French Embassy for one year now, and I am very glad to see my colleagues, especially Rodrigue. We used to have long meetings together about cooperation, about St. Lucia, of course. What I want to, first of all, I would like to apologize, Mr. Ambassador Francis Etienne. He is here, but he had too much, commitment, so he couldn't be there today. I hope we will have time tomorrow or later. And we saw Professor Joseph, Christina, and Rodrigue today, and we've been debriefed about what we've already talked, and we've been briefed about what will be for 2 days a very important moment for the population. I mean, about public health, of course, about One Health, but also about, I think, what is really cooperation. As you said, Professor Dabo, it's not about virtual, it's not only about policies, it's not about speeches, it's about what can impact everybody's life and health, and that's what you are going to do in a very specific issue, but a very important issue for people from St. Lucia and Martinique. So thank you for doing this symposium here, because I think, as far as I'm concerned, I can say that this issue in St. Lucia is something important. And to finish, moi qui dis ça en créole, parce que peut-être Rodrigue ou c'est Saint-Lucien ou pas qu'à déjà parler anglais parce que ou Martinique, mais normalement pour parler créole aussi. Donc, nous avons dit ça pour tout le monde qui est là. L'ambassade de France savent que entre Saint-Lucie et Martinique, ça a fait très très longtemps Et si nous voulons pousser coopération pour il faut nous commencer par santé. Si nous avons coopérer pour santé, finalement nous avons coopérer pour economics, nous avons coopérer pour exchanges, nous avons coopérer pour education, nous avons coopérer pour langue là aussi. Et créole c'est français, parce que dans créole il dit 80% mot français, nous connaissons ça. Donc c'est pour ça que nous avons aussi dit à l'ambassade de France, même si professeur Rézier, même si vous ne pouvez pas mener collègues qui ne connaissent pas parler anglais ou pas les mener parce que vous ne connaissent pas parler anglais, si vous avez des bagages pour échanger, menez-vous parce que vous ne parler créole et vous pouvez coopérer ensemble. Thank you. It was about it was just a private joke about the importance of don't think that the language it's a constraint, it can be an opportunity as well. Thank you very much, and on behalf of Mr. Ambassador, have a good symposium.
Dr. Dabor has something he would like to say.
I made a mistake. I forgot to. Sorry, PS. Jenny, I forgot. But I was looking that way. This way. Or PS. She's the one to help us to make this conference. Thank you.
And it is quite timely that you said that, because now is the time that we call on our peers to deliver her remarks. Of course, I'd like to call on Ms. Jenny Daniel, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
That's fine. Thank you, Mistress of Ceremonies. Wow, I was sitting at the front and I did not recognize that the room was so packed and crowded, and it is a pleasure to see such high-level interest in our topic of the symposium here for this week. So this is just my preamble. Let me adopt the protocol which has been established here today, and to welcome all distinguished ladies and gentlemen here today to our third annual symposium, international symposium on Snakebite Envenoming and One Health, within the spirit of One Health in St. Lucia. So I will begin by saying that snake bites basically have a significant effect on any population, particularly in regions where venomous snakes are common. Those impacts can include health impacts in the form of injuries and fatalities, chronic health conditions and infectious complications, economic impacts such as medical costs, loss of productivity, and the loss of agricultural labor due to fear of workers who need to work in areas where venomous snakes can be found. Social impacts such as the fear and stigma and impacts on women and children, population dynamics including reduced life expectancy and population decline in high-risk areas. Of course, there is the ecological impact of the disruption of ecosystems where snakes are harmed or destroyed as a result of fear, stigma, and other factors. Snake bites can be devastating for populations, particularly in rural and undeveloped areas where access to health care is limited. They can lead to the loss of life, long-term disability, economic hardship, and social disruption. Reducing the impact of snake bites requires a multifaceted approach, including public education, access to medical care, and programs for snakebite prevention and treatment. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs recognizes the significant potential for harmful impacts of snakebites on the population of St. Lucia, and is therefore mandated to establish and implement the necessary protocols that would lead to the effective management of those snakebites. This will result, of course, in the desired effect of reducing loss of life or serious injury to persons impacted by snake bites. The hosting of this third annual international symposium on snake bites envenoming is testament to the commitment of the Ministry of Health and by extension the government of St. Lucia to mitigating the impacts of snake bites on the population. Through the Universal Health Coverage Project, the government of St. Lucia will provide assistance in the form of care at no cost to any patient who has been impacted by snake bites. And this is a commitment that has been made to be implemented during this financial year, 2024, 2025. Now, many may wonder and ask, why snakebite? Why the treatment of snake bites? But we recognize that with, of course, the decline in certain agricultural areas, we have the reforestation of many parts of St. Lucia. And I'm certain that over the next 3 days, 2 to 3 days, our experts in agriculture will tell you of the expansion of the habitat of the fedelus in St. Lucia. So given this expansion, plus the expansion in housing and development, we do anticipate that the interaction between humans and snakes are going to increase, and we are likely to see, the effects of this increase in the form of an additional number of snake bites. And of course, in recognizing that even one person, one loss of life as a result of snake bite impacts is too many, right? And so as a matter of this interest, the government of St. Lucia has determined that we will pursue the treatment of snake bites as one of the essential components of the universal health coverage. The ministry therefore fully embraces this opportunity to inform, educate, and include all stakeholders in this conference, in dialogue within this conference, which will explore the prevention, treatment, and management of snake bites in St. Lucia. And Dr. Rivier's comments took me back to last year, and it's important, or rather it's significant that he mentioned Dr. Didier, and we had the moment of silence, because St. Lucia's participation in the conference last year in Martinique was really driven by my interaction, Dr. Didier's interaction with me. Initially, St. Lucia was not slated to have participated, and he had a long discussion with me, like he did sometimes when he had a particular issue that he wanted to have some discourse on, and he brought to my attention, this snakebite symposium happening in Martinique. And as a result of his discussion and his persuasion, we quickly put together a team led by Dr. Joseph and Joshua, and I think there was one additional participant, right, who really represented St. Lucia, at the snakebite, Dr. Benjamin, at the snakebite symposium in Martinique. And having done so, they were so thoroughly impressed, and of course, Dr. Dabo, so it has come to St. Lucia right now. And we are very pleased and proud to see this, and I think the whole team, and again, in recognition of Dr. Didier, we will give a round of applause at this point. So having said this, the ministry welcomes all participants, both local, regional, and international, to the symposium and looks forward to its successful completion. We recognize and commend the enduring efforts by Dr. Dabor, Professor Dabor Riviere, and his team in collaboration with the Office of the Chief Medical Officer and, of course, the Universal Health Coverage Unit in bringing this symposium into reality. I wish at this point to also thank, on behalf of the Ministry of Health, the health sector, and the government of St. Lucia, the regional cooperation directors, and of course, Mr. Rodriguez Alexander and his team for every effort that has been made to strengthen our health sector in St. Lucia through training, through integration, through treatment, through dialogue, and in whatever small or large way, and of course we know it's very big on your part, for all the cooperation over the years, and especially during this year. I understand we recently had the radiology treatment yesterday as well, we really are thankful for all the assistance that has been provided to the health sector. And our gratitude cannot be expressed simply with words, but we just want to know to let you know that we feel, we recognize, and we are very thankful. So with this, I wish to welcome everyone to the symposium, to wish you a good and successful symposium. I look forward to the outcome of the discussions. I expect that there will be debates on certain matters. Of course, you don't get decisions without debates, and debates are really, it's really a sign of thoughtfulness and understanding of the approaches and the protocols that currently exist. So we look forward to the outcomes. We look forward to, moving forward with the development of our health sector in treating this disease. Thank you, everyone, and have a good conference.
Thank you, PS. And now we'll take a little break as we welcome Can Beats. Can Beats, they're a pan group from the community of canneries. And I think you heard Dr. Glensford say that canneries, Roseau Canneries is one of the areas that has many, many snakes, many, many feathers. I can tell you that I'm from there. And these two young men are extremely talented. They are, should I say former students? Former students of the St. Mary's College. Yes. And they performed very well as their band. They usually participate in Panorama. And it's a small band, but like our Jamaican friends say, they lickle, but they talawa. They're very strong and mighty. So please put your hands together with encouragement for them. Just check me out. I'm the self-appointed manager. Well done, boys. Right now, I'd like to, well, we can't call on him, but we will play his remarks. Dravid will do the honors. The remarks from our Honorable Minister, Minister Moses Jabatis, Minister for Health, Wellness, and Elderly Affairs.
Cabinet colleagues, Professor Honorable Dr. Dabor Rizier, ICU specialist, snakebite specialist, and a very dear friend of St. Lucia from the University Hospital of Martinique, professionals from Dr. Dabor's team who are here for the Snakebite Symposium, Deputy Permanent Secretary Mr. Ernest Nobal, and other officials of the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Elderly Affairs, Excellencies, officials of the French Embassy and other officials from various departments of government, farmers, members of the public, and invited guests. Welcome to the 3rd Caribbean Snakebite Symposium from November 28th to 30th, 2024. I sincerely apologize for my absence at this historic and important event. As you may know by now, I have joined Drs. Alicia Eugene Ford, Director of Universal Health Coverage, and Dr. Sherry Ephraim Laconte, Chief Dental Surgeon at the World Health Organization Global Oral Health Meeting in Bangkok. This symposium, which will explore the theme New Approaches to Combating Snake Bites and Integrating the One Health Perspective, serves as an important step in preparation for the launch of the management of snake bites within the essential package of health services under Universal Health Coverage. The Universal Health Coverage Unit under the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs will be launching this new service in the first quarter of 2025. On behalf of the government and people of St. Lucia, and on behalf of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, I welcome the 20 world-class specialists and regional experts from countries such as Martinique, Guyana, Costa Rica, who will share innovative practices and insights into managing snake bites effectively. The symposium's agenda will cover snakebite prevention techniques for farmers, field care for emergency medical technicians, the ambulance team, clinical training for nurses and doctors, and snake manipulation technique for forestry officers. As we know, the featherless snake has not had a glamorous history in our St. Lucia. Most St. Lucians have come to fear the St. Lucia featherless. It is an endemic species to St. Lucia. It is at high risk of extinction. The ongoing decline in the species population and the infrequent but dangerous interactions between community members and the snake highlight the need for an updated practical management plan to preserve this unique species and protect the community from harmful exposure. Regional medical cooperation in the Caribbean is essential for the improvement of healthcare in the region. The experience gained from ongoing cooperation between Martinique and other Caribbean countries in recent years should be used to develop common, firm relationships in training through a permanent program of seminars and workshops for health workers. In the recent past, St. Lucia has been working with Martinique through medical cooperation to promote research, elaborate therapeutic strategies, develop treatment protocols, etc. I take this opportunity to thank Honorable Dr. Dabor once again for his tremendous efforts to strengthen medical collaboration between St. Lucian professionals and their colleagues from the University Hospital of Martinique over many, many years. We appreciate your kindness and that of all of your colleagues who have come to our aid over so many years. Thanks to all participants, and I really appreciate your continued interest in the strengthening of our health systems. Blessings to all of you, and I wish you a successful conference. Thanks.
So too does our opening ceremony. You guys have been a stellar audience. But to deliver the vote of thanks, I'd like to call on a new but very significant part of the UHC unit, Ms. Steffi De Freitas. She is the project officer, one of our project officers at UHC.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to adopt the established protocols. As we conclude this significant event, I take this opportunity to express gratitude to everyone who has contributed to its success. First, I extend heartfelt gratitude First, I extend heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Moses Jabatis, Minister for Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, who, despite being away on official duties, shared his inspiring remarks via recording. We wish to thank him for his unwavering commitment to health. Similarly, we deeply appreciate Dr. Alicia Eugene Ford, Director of Universal Health Coverage, for not only ensuring that her presence was felt this evening with her insightful recorded opening remarks, but also for her leadership, vision, and dedication to the UHC initiative. To Ms. Jenny Daniel, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, and Mr. Ernest Noval, Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, your leadership and support to the Universal Health Coverage Project have been instrumental. Ms. Daniel, we truly appreciate your inspiring words. Special thanks to Dr. Dabor, Professor and Consultant of Critical Care Medicine, and his team of specialists who have traveled to St. Lucia to share their invaluable insights on snakebite management. Your expertise and dedication to this cause will undoubtedly contribute greatly to the success of this symposium. To Dr. Glensford Joseph, Medical Officer for Health, thank you for your presence and remarks which have set the tone for this important symposium. Special recognition also goes to Canbits and Mr. Rashad Joseph for their outstanding entertainment which has truly elevated this evening's event. To Ms. Patrice Lewis, thank you for leading us in prayer and reminding us of the spiritual grounding that underpins all our efforts. A heartfelt thank you to our excellent Mistress of Ceremonies, Ms. Jade Brown, for her poise in ensuring the smooth flow of this program. To Team UHC, a special thank you for your diligence in organizing this symposium and ensuring its success. Finally, I thank each of you, our special invitees, for your presence and engagement this evening. Thank you all, and I wish you a productive and enlightening symposium.
Thank you, Stephanie. There's not much else left for me to say, but to mark the symposium now open. I think we head straight on into it, right, Josue? With an address by Mr. Jose Gutierrez.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the University of Costa Rica, I would like to give our greetings to the authorities of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs of St. Lucia, as well as the authorities of Universe Health Coverage. Also, I'd like to thank Professor Dabor Resier for his kind invitation to present at this meeting, and also I'd like to thank you, all the members of the organizing committee here in St. Lucia and in Martinique. Special greetings to all the colleagues from St. Lucia, Martinique, France, the United Kingdom, Costa Rica, and Brazil, who are attending this symposium. So I will present today, if you... There you go. I will present today a perspective, an integrated perspective of snakebite envenoming, seen from a transdisciplinary and One Health perspective, an integrated, holistic perspective, which is the motto of this particular symposium. Next one, please. First, I would like to dedicate my presentation to the memory of Dr. George Martin Didier, a great person and a person that devoted all his life to the well-being of humanity. For us, it was a great pleasure to have met him and to have seen his contributions to public health and general affairs in St. Lucia and elsewhere. So my respect to the memory of Dr. George Martin Didier. Next one. So snakebite envenoming, as it has been stated in the previous presentations, is a neglected tropical disease that inflicts more than 2 million envenomings per year and causes about 100,000 deaths and more than 300,000 people who are left permanently with sequela, either physical or psychological or both. And next, let's take several, one, more. Okay, well, no, go back. So basically what I want to show with this picture is that snakebite occurs in particular settings, usually rural settings in impoverished communities, mainly in sub-Saharan Africa, Asia, and Latin America and the Caribbean. And the question marks come because the contexts in which snake bites occur are many and are diverse, and the consequences of snakebite envenoming are also many and diverse. And to grasp this complexity, we need to introduce a transdisciplinary, holistic perspective from a One Health paradigm. Next one. So snakebite envenoming was incorporated. Next one. Next. Okay. No, that's okay. Last one. Okay. It was incorporated into the list of neglected tropical diseases of the World Health Organization in the year 2017. This was a very important step forward to the recognition of snakebite as a relevant public health problem. Then in the year 2018, the World Health Assembly approved a resolution that urges member states to take actions to prevent and control this problem. And in the year 2019, the World Health Organization issued for the first time a strategy for prevention and control of snakebite envenoming. Next one. So snake bites occur in specific ecological and socio-cultural contexts and mostly affects people living in impoverished rural communities. So a proper understanding of this complexity demands a One Health transdisciplinary perspective, where consideration of human aspects, domestic animals aspect, agroecosystems as snakes in the field should be considered and integrated with this frame of One Health perspective. Next one. So One Health, this is a definition of One Health from a publication in PLOS Pathogens in the year 2022. One Health is an integrated, unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of people, animals, and ecosystems. It recognizes that the health of humans, domestic and wild animals, plants, and the wider environment, including ecosystems, are closely linked and interdependent. So it is this interdependence that we need to grasp and approach through research and through public health interventions. Next one. In the past, along many decades, the efforts in research in this field of snakebite envenomings have focused on these particular topics. In the upper left, the study of the composition of snake venoms. We know a lot about the biochemistry and composition of snake venoms. To the right, in the upper side, the clinical aspects of envenoming. There is a lot of information on the clinical manifestation of snakebite envenoming in many regions of the world caused by different snakes. And in the lower part to the left, you see an electromicrograph of a capillary vessel being destroyed by the action of a venom, showing that efforts have been carried out for understanding the mechanisms of action of snake venom toxins. And then you have the antibodies and a synthetic inhibitor, indicating that efforts have always been carried out in terms of improving treatments, developing antivenoms, distributing antivenoms, and developing new therapies based on natural or synthetic molecules. But these predominant fields do not cover all the complexity of the subject of snakebite envenoming. So I will refer in the last part of my talk, areas that need attention in terms of research and intervention. Next one, please. We need to improve our herpetological knowledge base in order to mitigate the risks of human-snake interactions, the human-snake conflict. To mitigate this conflict, we need to understand better the snakes, their diversity, their abundance, their natural history, the population dynamic of the snakes. One source of relevant knowledge comes from what is named citizen science, which is information coming from the base of the society on the location, identification, and different features of the natural history of snakes. For example, in databases such as Reptile Database, iNaturalist, and Herp Mapper, there are pictures, photographs of more than 700,000 photos of snakes covering almost 80% of species in the world. So there is a lot of information coming from the base of society, and citizen science is something that we need to improve to better understand the ecology of the snakes. Next one. Also, the emergence of artificial intelligent methods should be harnessed in our field of snakebite envenoming. And this is a paper published by Isabel Bolón and colleagues a couple of years ago, showing how artificial intelligence can be used to identify snakes by pictures. So this is a program, this is an algorithm that takes the information from photos of snakes and allows the recognition of a species when somebody puts a photograph into the program. This type of artificial intelligence algorithms can be very useful in our field of snakebite envenoming. The next one. We also need to document and understand changes in snake populations. For example, in the graph in the left is a study in which for several years researchers were mapping snakes in the field, counting how many specimens of different species of snakes were in the field. And you can see a trend to decrease the number of snakes in the field, showing that the alterations of the environment, the ecological alterations, are affecting many snake species. And to the right, I will not get into much detail, but basically this was a study carried out in Panama where they showed that the reduction in the population of frogs, of amphibians, by the introduction of this fungus, Batrachoticum dendrobatidis, this drop in the population of amphibians drastically affected the populations of snakes, showing that the interactions and ecological relationships are very important in our field. Next one. So there are tools that predict how snakes will be distributed in the future in terms of climate change. And there is a group in the University of Sergipe in Brazil, led by Pablo Martinez, that has studied these trends by using what is called ecological niche modeling. In this particular case, referred to venomous snake from sub-Saharan Africa, Vitis rhinoceros, one of the puff adders, shows in the map to the left the current distribution of the snake, and in the map to the right, the prediction of how this snake will be distributed by the year 2070. These are, of course, predictions, but show that the climate changes may affect the distribution of snake one way or another. Next one. This is a publication of this year by the same group of Pablo Martinez and colleagues, where they studied or predicted the distribution by using this ecological niche modeling of many species, all the venomous species classified in classes 1 or 2 by the World Health Organization. Each dot in this graph represents a particular species. And you see that, and this is prediction of distribution in the future. You see that to the left of the dotted line are species whose area of distribution will be reduced in the future. Many species will be reduced or will contract the distribution. But to the right of the dotted line, you will see species that will increase expand its distributional range, such as Vipera aspir, Vipera moditis in Europe, Vitis rhinoceros in Africa, Naya mandalayensis in Asia, and other species. So there will be species, or there are species that will be reduced in their geographical distribution, and other species that will increase and will invade new countries where they are not distributed right now. So this type of analysis allows to predict this and to take public health measures to confront these changes in the distribution. Next one. Also, geospatial analysis is a very valuable tool to study the issue of snakebite envenoming. For example, in this work by Longbottom and colleagues in the left, you see in the upper map areas where there are many or where most venomous snakes. Next one. Next, and next. So you see these areas in South America, in Sub-Saharan Africa, and in Asia, with the abundance of venomous snakes. But then with this kind of tools, you can also study where are snakes for which there are no antivenoms available. And in the lower map, you can see that. Next one. And next one. And next one. Oh, go back, please. So you see that in the central area of Sub-Saharan Africa and in some regions in South America, there are species of snakes for which there are no antivenoms available. So this type of geospatial analysis is very helpful for policymakers. And to the right, you see a more a study with higher granularity. It's a study by Carlos Ochoa and colleagues in Geneva, where they mapped in Nepal, in the Terai region of Nepal, the tropical region of Nepal to the south, regions of higher risk of snakebite envenoming, taking into consideration the human population density, the snake population density, the access to health services, and so on. So with this type of information, ministries of health would have more robust documentation to implement interventions to reduce the risk of snake bites. Next one. But also, and this is very important, to understand this complexity of snakebite envenoming, we need to introduce social sciences in our studies. Usually natural sciences have been going in one way, social sciences in another way. But for understanding a public health issue like snakebite envenoming, we have to bring social sciences and natural sciences together. Why? Because it is very important to understand the cosmovisions around snake and snake bites in rural communities, what they think about snakes and snake bites, the traditional healing practices, the group of Manaus from where Tom and Jacqueline work, they have been doing very interesting work in analyzing the situation of snake bite in indigenous communities in the Amazonan region. Which are the perceptions that this community have of modern medicine? And for this, research tools such as qualitative research, participatory ethnopharmacology, a technical photo voice need to be introduced. So it is necessary to understand how communities perceive this problem, how do they react to this problem, how do they perceive the medical services, and so on. And for this, we need social sciences, we need anthropology, social work, and so on. Next one. For example, in this very interesting study by the group of Manaus, Altair Ciabra de Farias and colleagues, they evaluated through interviews, through qualitative research, the perceptions of the indigenous caregivers towards a snakebite envenoming. And it is interesting that they found in this study that snake bites are perceived to have both natural and supernatural causes. Natural causes would be the contact between a person and a snake, but supernatural causes are related to the feeling of sins by people being bitten, or to the development of scourges of traditional healers or other people, leaders, spiritual leaders in the communities towards the person that is going to be bitten. These understandings have to be studied, because on this basis we can develop more effective therapies, respecting the cultural backgrounds of the communities where snake bites occur. Next one. Also, it is important to document the real incidence of snake bites. The official records say that we have 125,000 deaths per year, but we know that this number is an under-registration. We know that many people do not go to hospitals, so these cases are not included in the official statistics in the public health systems. For example, in India, officially, it is said that there are 8,000 deaths per year. But a study based on interviews in the community, a community-based and household study, demonstrated that there are more than 50,000 deaths by snakebite in India alone. So when you introduce these techniques of community surveys and household interviews, the dimension of the problem of snakebite becomes more evident. And for this, it is necessary to introduce spatial randomization, selection, and so on, different techniques that could grasp this. Because one aspect, when we were promoting snakebite envenoming in the World Health Organization, one argument that they put to us was, you don't have enough data, you don't have sound data. And this is true in part. And this sound data is emerging from these community-based studies, and this will bring more attention to the dimension, the real dimension of snakebite envenoming. The next one. And there are other aspects to consider. For example, what is the effect of migrations in snakebite envenoming? In Central America, we have thousands of people moving to the north, crossing Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, going into Mexico to the United States. And nobody knows what is the situation of snakebite envenoming in these people. They cross areas infested by snakes. Obviously, if they are bitten, they are not attended by public health systems. So this needs to be studied. Or, which is the effect of socio-natural disasters on snakebite envenoming? This is a flooding that we had in Costa Rica several years ago. It is known that flooding increases the incidence of snakebite envenoming. This needs to be also considered in a study. Or, what is the effect of armed conflicts in the incidence of snakebite envenoming? The mobilization of people in situations of warfare. Or what's the effect of the climatic variables? This graphic to the lower right shows the incidence of snakebite envenoming in Costa Rica and the effect of the El Niño Southern Oscillation on this incidence. So the green peaks occur during the hot phase of El Niño Southern Oscillation, and the blue lines reflect the incidence of the cold phase of the El Niño Southern Oscillation. So in both cold and hot phases of El Niño, we have an increase in the incidence of snakebite. We don't know why. We have some speculations. But the fact is that these climatic effects have an impact on the snakebite envenoming. Next one. And also, if we are talking about snake bites from the One Health approach, we need to also address an issue that has been rather neglected, and is the impact of snake bites in domestic animals. There have been a few studies, like this one from the group in Geneva, showing that in Cameroon and Nepal, the impact of snakebite envenoming in domestic animals is huge, with 85% mortality in cattle, sheep, poultry, dogs, and so on. And this has a tremendous impact, economic impact, and also psychological and spiritual impact in the communities. So we need to study this, to document this, and to develop strategies to confront this. In our institute in Costa Rica, we produce an antivenom for veterinary use that is very, very useful in our country. Next one. Also, there is another neglected area of this problem, which are the sequela that people suffer after a snake bite. This case in the left is a boy was bitten by a Bothrops atrox in the Amazon region of Peru. It took many hours to get to the hospital. When he arrived to the hospital, the upper extremity was completely necrotic, and he had to be amputated. And this side, this aspect of this phenomenon has been poorly studied and poorly attended. In the lower part, you see the title of a study done by Jasmine Arias Rodriguez in our institute, a sociologist, who investigated the consequences and circumstances of snakebite in rural Costa Rica. And she found many interesting and worrisome findings. People, after a snakebite, they go out of the hospital, they survive, but they are left with permanent physical, psychological sequelae. They have difficulties finding work. They have an actual economic debacle. So, particularly the psychological aspect of this sequela have not been considered in general. And it has been shown in several studies in Sri Lanka and Nigeria that people that suffer a snake bite and survive, they develop post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, many psychological consequences. So now in Costa Rica, we are recommending to the health system to always introduce interconsultation with psychiatry to attend these people. So this is an area that needs, next one, that needs legislation. And on the basis of this story of Jasmine Arias, we and a congressman in Costa Rica proposed a new law to increase the benefits of the law of work accidents to peasants that were not included in the official list of workers in the country. This is being introduced now in Costa Rica. So also there is a space for people specialized in legal issues, to lawyers to confront this problem. Next one. And of course, as we have been talking, snakebite has a tremendous impact in poverty. Because first, snakebite affects people living in poverty. And second, snakebite multiplies the conditions of poverty. So this is a vicious cycle, whereas poverty determines the possibility of having a snake bite, and then the snake bite sometimes is a complete catastrophe economically for the people, because in some regions people have to pay for treatment, or in some regions people they lose their jobs and get into this vicious cycle of poverty as a consequence of snake bite. This needs to be better studied, documented, and attended by health authorities. Next one. I will not get into detail here, but the topic of availability and accessibility of treatment of antivenom is a very important one. The World Health Organization is attending this area. And basically in this review by Julien Potet from Medicines Sans Frontières and colleagues, they describe 3 stages from the development to the application and use of antivenoms and treatment. The first stage is what they call the upstream stage, which includes research and development, innovation, new antivenoms, marketing. Next one. Then the midstream stage, which include, once the antivenom is available, registration, selection, pricing, reimbursement, procurement, and so on. And then, next, the downstream stage is the prescription of antivenom, the use of antivenom, the knowledge of the medical staff of using the antivenom in the field. So it is not just a matter of producing antivenom. The antivenoms have to be produced, of course, and should be of high quality, should be safe and effective. But then the other aspects of the antivenom, distribution, use, training of physicians, need to be considered. Next one. So health economics is an important area that we need to incorporate into our field. Next one. And of course, studies on antivenom acquisition and distribution. Next one, please. It is important also to study how the health system tackles this problem. For example, in this work by Eric Hanson and colleagues in Costa Rica, the map to the left, you see the incidence of snakebite. You see the areas, the darker areas are the ones with highest incidence of snake bites. And to the right, you see the distribution of hospital, clinics, and ambulance stations. So you see we have a very good widespread public health system, but there were areas when we did this study in which it took more than 3 hours for the people to get to the nearest health facility. After this study, we and the health authorities promoted the distribution of antivenom to the primary healthcare level. So now in Costa Rica, you find antivenom at the primary healthcare level, and this has reduced the time of antivenom administration significantly. And it is very clear, and the colleagues from Brazil have studied this very clearly, that the longer the time lapse in the attention of a patient bitten by a snake, the poorer is the prognosis of this person. Next one. Next one. Also, the topic of prevention is very important, because in the long term, prevention will be the best solution to reduce the impact of snakebite envenomation. And for this, and going back to the role of social sciences, we need to work with the communities, very close to the communities. But we need to work and adapt the interventions to local cultural context, to respect the knowledge being created in the community, and then to incorporate the communities in this program in a dialogic approach. So it is not a matter to go into the communities and tell them what they should do. It should be instead a matter of dialoguing and creating preventive programs based on the cultural context and respect for the knowledge of the communities. For example, in our institute, we have been doing work with the indigenous communities in Costa Rica, and we have, together working with them, we have published this type of booklet for prevention of snake bites, written in the indigenous language and in Spanish. Next one. Also, it is very important to make sure that physicians and nurses treating snake bites have an adequate knowledge on how to do it, how to diagnose the snake bite, how to recognize the severity, how to use the antivenom, how to treat adverse antivenom reactions, how to treat complications. And this is a knowledge that should be permanently distributed in permanent education programs, and particularly at the university schools of nursing and medicine and so on. So to the right, you see an algorithm that we have developed in Costa Rica, and it is widely distributed in emergency department or services in the hospitals, telling how to use the antivenom, the dose, and so on. And for this, it's important to consider the use of innovative information and communication technologies, which offer great possibilities to disseminate this knowledge. Next one. Now, up to now, I have argued that it is necessary to bring more disciplines to this field, to create an interdisciplinary landscape, incorporating social sciences, veterinary science, natural science, and so on. But also, it is not just a matter of bringing disciplines together, it's a matter of promoting a real transdisciplinary approach. And transdisciplinarity is defined in this work by Jan and colleagues as a reflexive research approach that addresses societal problems by means of interdisciplinary collaboration, is what I have been talking, but as well as the collaboration between researchers and extra scientific actors. Its aim is to enable mutual learning processes between science and society. Integration is the main cognitive challenge of the research processes. So transdisciplinarity is more than interdisciplinary. Transdisciplinarity invites the participation of people of the society, not the scientists, people of the society, who together with the scientists will create the new knowledge. And this would be a more rich knowledge than if it would be created just by the specialists and scientists. So this is a basic, important feature of transdisciplinary research. Next one. So we have been seeing some of these topics that need to be addressed: venom composition, climate and environmental change, veterinary impact, organization of public health services, access and quality of therapies, community organization, role of traditional healers, perception of snakes, snake bites, incidence of envenomings, herpetology, toxinology, and ecology of snakes, clinical and therapeutic aspects. Many aspects that need to be linked together in an interdisciplinary frame. But in addition to that, the active involvement of society stakeholders in the creation of knowledge, in the design and implementation of research is very important. I know it's a very difficult task, but we should try to promote this involvement. And then the third requisite of transdisciplinarity. The first is interdisciplinarity. The second is the incorporation of the different actors of the society in knowledge development. The third one is the translation of the findings of research to the solution of the problem. Next one. So we have been arguing on the need to use transdisciplinary approach in our field. This is a paper published in PLOS Neglected Tropical Diseases a couple of years ago, arguing for the need to develop transdisciplinary approaches and programs. Next one. And in this paper, we summarize our ideas with this scheme. So you see in the left, we need the involvement, of course, of scientific actors from different disciplines: public health, toxinology, agriculture, ecology, herpetology, and so on. But also in the building of knowledge, we need the participation of non-scientific actors, local and regional authorities, community groups, people affected by snake bites, including women and children, traditional healers, the media, and so on. So the conjunction of specialized scientists and people from the community will create a body of knowledge through integration that then will allow the third element of transdisciplinarity, which is the translation into impactful solutions with different programs at the society that will eventually reduce the impact of snakebite envenoming. So it's a complex and very difficult task, but I think we should move in this direction to really tackle this problem of snakebite envenoming. The next one. And then it is very important from this integrated perspective to put a snakebite together with other diseases, other neglected diseases that have many features in common with snake bites and whose interventions by public health authorities have many issues in common, such as several parasitic diseases, rabies, Chagas disease, and so on. So the idea is not to see snake bite as a separate silo, but instead to incorporate the snake bites into the context, into the universe of neglected tropical diseases, so that the interventions can be developed in conjunction, in a collaborative fashion. I had the opportunity to collaborate with the Ministry of Health in Honduras, and it was interesting to me that they incorporated snakebite into the program for neglected tropical diseases. So when they go to a community to tackle rabies or Chagas disease or leishmaniasis, they also incorporate the snakebite into these activities. So this is another task, another challenge to bring a snakebite into the collective group of neglected tropical diseases. Next one. And with this, I'd like to, again, to thank the invitation to talk to you this afternoon. I'd like to thank your presence here, your attention, and I'd like to mention many of these ideas have been developed by our group of Instituto Clodomiro Picao in Costa Rica, the people from the University of Geneva, particularly Rafael Ruiz de Castañeda, Isabel Bolón, and Juliette Borri, and Dr. Fan Wen Fan from Instituto Butantan, and colleagues from the Pan American Health Organization, Marco Vigilato, Larissa Zanete, and Felipe Rocha, and many people that around the world are thinking along these lines. So thank you very much for your attention, and if there are any questions, I'd be very glad to answer. I don't know if we have time. We have, okay. Okay, thank you very much. No questions, so then perhaps in the aftermath or during these days, we can talk about this. Sorry, welcome.
A fantastic presentation. In your opinion, in Latin America, what are the bottlenecks you see in terms of safety and efficacy of the antivenoms we have available in the continent? We have good antivenoms, we have safe antivenoms, and if the patient, considering that the patient will be treated timely, what is your opinion about the outcome of the patient with the antivenoms you have? And if you could mention the RELAPA initiative to respond to this topic.
Hello. Okay, I'll use this one. Thank you. Well, this is a very interesting question. Latin America is in a very good position relative to other regions of the world in terms of antivenoms. We have like 12 or so laboratories producing antivenoms in the region. It's not enough, and the quality of some of these antivenoms has to be improved. But in general, I would say, that these are good antivenoms which are effective and with a relatively good safety profile. We need to improve that, and this is the role of RELAPA. I will talk about this project of RELAPA tomorrow. We need to improve the GMP conditions, the quality of the antivenoms. We need to do more preclinical assessment of these antivenoms. There is a project now going on. We need to do clinical assessment of antivenoms, which we have relatively little information other than observational studies and so on. So I think we need to improve the platform of antivenom manufacture. We have to support public laboratories in the region that are struggling to keep alive in the production of antivenom. But I think the main problems right now have to do with public health issues such as distribution, accessibility, good knowledge of physicians and nurses on how to apply the antivenom, accessibility of antivenom to regions like the ones you are studying, indigenous communities and rural communities. So I think we have good advances. We are in a good situation, but we need to improve in terms of antivenom, the volume of antivenom produced, the quality of the antivenom, the distribution, the accessibility, and the good use of the antivenom. So many challenges ahead, definitely. But I am optimistic that in Latin America and the Caribbean, we are progressing. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Gutierrez, for your, I don't know if there is a name to describe your presentation. So for Professor Jacqueline and I and myself, I think that will be difficult to talk after you. I don't know if there is another question for him. Meanwhile, we're going to put on the presentation of Professor Jacqueline from Manaus, Brazil, University of Amazonia. So, another question for Professor Gutierrez. Remember, you have 3 days to see him. he has a lot of meetings, so I don't know. But I think it's a good time for you to, if you have a question, student, officer. We are glad to see so much officers, fire officers. Thank you for coming. That is the primary care also. We will talk about that. You have people with a lot of experience, like we talk about the primary care, the teams from Costa Rica, your teams, and also the team from Brazil. I'm learning a lot. In my presentation, that will be an overview, or a clinician or a doctor can integrate One Health and or management and the management of snakebite. That could be different than the schema, but we will bring with some things. So it's okay for you, sir? Can I introduce Miss Dr. As you can see in the CHEMA presentation, CHEMA is a little name that we students from Professor Gutierrez, we always say CHEMA. So that's, I don't know if he will allow you to say CHEMA. So you can see in his presentation a lot of references from the team of Brazil. I think they have a good experience. And with Atem Khaled and French Guyana, we did publish with you also this paper about time to antivenom. There will be a presentation about time to antivenom. You can see in some areas in French Guyana, those patients, they arrive in Cayenne after 9 hours. 9. So you can see the difference. Remember what Professor Gutierrez said, and sometime in Costa Rica is 3 hours. And you got also I remember when I used to go to French Guyana with Atem Khaled, sometimes we were asking ourselves, what about those patients in the areas like forest areas? Some of them, they don't reach the hospital, they don't come. If they have some immigration issues, they won't come to see a doctor. We don't know the death toll with this group of patients, I can say. So that is interesting. So if it's not ready, I can go with mine. I can go. I'm not afraid about what Professor Gutierrez, about the presentation of Professor Gutierrez. You can go with mine. No problem. You don't mind, Professor Jacqueline? You don't mind if I go first? If you have some more questions for Professor Gutierrez, I think you have a technical problem. Of course. Dr. My dear friend, Joseph, is a professor of the University of Martin. She has changed her life for the past years because she's doing something no one, embolization. And patient with stroke, something like that. We used to send those patients to Paris. Now we don't have to do that. We did invite her with my friend, the CEO, invite her to do this, what we call it, training session. She has done twice, training session, good session. And people in St. Lucia, some of the doctors, they are very happy. That is our cooperation. Our cooperation is not only in ICU and Snakebite, we deal with all specialties.
Thank you so much, Professor Gutierrez. Thank you, everyone, for this fantastic, actually, working very important societal problem for our populations. And I have a question. I'm not a specialist on snakebite, but I can imagine that through cytokines and all these pro-inflammatory mediated cascades that can be are produced during snakebite, I can theoretically imagine that ischemic stroke or deep venous thrombosis may be potentially to actually serious complications of snakebite. And my question to all of you actually who are in the field, have you experienced ischemic strokes or deep venous thrombosis from snakebite so far, or are there any numbers from your experience or published concerning our populations? That's my question actually.
Thank you very much. Well, this is very interesting because the effects of snake venoms on hemostasis are very complicated, very important. In both sorts of snakes, the snakes that we have here in the region, the main effect is venom-induced consumption of coagulopathy. It's consumption of protein factors leading to anticoagulation and contributing to hemorrhage and cardiovascular pressure. However, in some cases, there are exceptions. The venoms in Martinique and St. Lucia, both Caribeos and both Brasilados, are characterized not by consumption of coagulopathy, but instead by thrombosis. And the mechanism is not so clear. We are studying that. In the most serious cases, develop thrombosis in lungs, heart, and brain, with ischemia and infarcts. But this is an exception. In general, the states in the region include consumption of coagulopathy. Thrombotic microangiopathy also, which leads to kidney damage. There are cases reported of thrombosis, deep vein thrombosis or thrombosis in other organs, but these are exceptional, except in the snakes of St. Lucia and Martinique. Also, these snakes affect the platelets. They induce thrombocytopenia, they induce platelet hypoaggregation, and this contributes to the bleeding. So it's very complicated, and many questions still open on how venoms affect the situation. It also depends on the route of injection. In general, the venom is injected subcutaneously or intramuscularly. But if for an exception, the venom goes directly to the vein, then you will have thrombosis. But this is very exceptional. Exactly. It's a very open topic for research, and we have some answers, but many questions. In Costa Rica, for example, the device by the most common snake, most aspect, is typically consumption of coagulopathy, and the same happens in our house, you put the antivenom, you administer antivenom, it neutralizes the toxins, but it takes about 12 hours to the liver to synthesize again the clotting factors. So that's why it takes 12 hours and sometimes 24 hours to correct the clotting disorders. But in general, the antivenoms are very good at the neutralization of this venom protein enzyme. Thank you for that. Yes.
I just wanted to say that the first case described from St. Lucia with stroke in a young patient with toxicity spite was published with Dr. BD. Multiple strokes in a young patient with snake bites, and Dr. BD published that case. And I think that's what triggered everything with Dabol and Professor Fisher. So it has been documented. Yeah.
The mechanism of this thrombosis is really a mystery, because the venom doesn't have a procoagulant effect in vitro. So the thrombosis is probably the result of endogenous inflammatory mediators or effects of the endothelium, turning the endothelial pro-thrombotic procoagulant. So there is this concept by Professor Riviere of thromboinflammation, which is a good hypothesis to say that. But that needs to be demonstrated.
How about antibiotics in these cases? Are they effective or?
Well, no, they are counterproductive because you're having a state of coagulability.
some groups in the past, many years ago, used to mention the use of heparin, but actually it's not convenient because of we will prolong that recovery of solution.
The same question about anticoagulants. Our group, another group before us, in 1993 to 1998, Thomas was one of the chief of the emergency department of Martin, who used one paper used to some heparin, and we have seen the ischemic score has been transformed in hemorrhagic score, and all of those patients died, unfortunately. Dr. Professor Jacqueline from Manaus, University of Amazon, is your floor, is the floor. The floor is yours. This evening we didn't have so much time to present BO, but everybody knows about you. And you were, and my thesis, thank you very much, you were very kind. You didn't ask me any question. That was great. It's a pleasure for me to introduce you this afternoon to present clinical management and complementary treatments of botrop envenoming in the Amazon. Thank you very much for coming.
Well, finally, it's a very difficult talk after Dr. Gutierrez, but I will try. First of all, thank you for inviting me for this symposium. It's the second time that Dr. Dabo tried that participated this important group of the team, and it's a beautiful opportunity for discuss about the different snakes in the Central America and the Latin America. And my subject today is a clinical management and complementary treatments of botropic envenoming in Amazon. Then this picture is a intentional picture because in clinical observation and the only observation the symptoms, the signs and symptoms of the patients. But behind the signs and symptoms, there is many situations, and the traditional treatment is a good situation for the One Health. Is a thematic for this event, and especially this patient use the snake of cause of accident because this patient believe that the snake is stopped the venom. Is a beliefs for the community, for the indigenous, riverines, and the rural patients, because sometimes it's very difficult for access the antivenom, and the old times is a ritual, is many things that use for stop the venom. But we know need the antivenom for stop the signals and the symptoms for this clinical management. Next. Then in Brazil, there is many kinds of the botrops, about 23 different species for the botrops. And these botrops, this distribution in Brazil is 90% of the Brazil territory, there is a botrops. You can find the botrops. The popular name in Brazil is a jararaca, in English, lancer head. And the habits is a crepuscular habits. Then this means that the patients, mainly patients that find these snakes is because the same time that snakes moved in the forest, moved in the floor, for example, is the same time that workers in rural area became to the home, because this is more frequent. This profile of the patient find the snake and suffer accident. This snake is anti-aggressive animal, only attacked with feeling afraid or happen something more closer to this snake. Next. Then in Amazon, what the group, my group, make about these snakes, about the accidents, about the envenomation. And there is four main line in the group. The group, the name called CEPCLAN, em português, Centro de Pesquisa Clínica em Envenenamento por Animais. This group developed 4 lines. The first line is about the collection for the snakes. Inside the hospital, there is one space that when the patient brought the snake for the after bite, brought this snake and they take this snake and they put a number and they put in collection. And this collection today, we have about 3,000 different snakes in this collection, and I use for these snakes for study, for new research, for example, and I will show one research about these snakes for the collection. This picture is this collection, and the second line is about the musa. Musa is a secretary of the snakes in Amazon, Manaus specifically, and they extract the venom for these botrops snakes and use for new research too. The third is about the clinical research, because in the complex of the tropical medicine hospital, their attendance this patient in Manaus is a unique hospital. There is antivenom, because this is a reference for the treatment. And in this place, the clinical research happened. And the fourth is a biorepository. Biorepository is a research that follow the patient during the hospital for all time this patient stay in the hospital. And they collect the blood, they collect the signs, symptoms, and this research arrived 4 years ago, and now the biorepository, there is about 200 patients they followed. Next. Then one research about the collection for the snakes is the research that used 248 species confirmed for the bite in the patient. And what the outcomes this study? Only study is botrops snakes, and concluded this study that the juvenile snake, botrops snake, cause more signals and symptoms about the disorder coagulation. And the adult botrops snakes cause more signals, symptoms about the local of the bite. Cause the disorder coagulation too, but less frequently. And this research connects the snakes of the collection, the anemia collection, and the record of the patient in the same hospital. Next. And the other study about the botrops atrox in Amazon is about the coagulation disorders, and they follow the patient that use the antivenom, the Brazil antivenom, and the coagulation disorder resolved with the antivenom, but the patient needs 2 and 3 days for the resolve completely. Then the patient recover the coagulation disorder, but needed more time than 24 hours, for example. And the conclusion that this antivenom worked. The second, the one. And what's the problem? Resolve the system system coagulation disorder, but the local disorder, like edema, inflammatory process, is a big problem, is a challenge for the resolve more faster than the system symptoms. Then this picture is about mild, moderate, and severe cases, because the edema is more follow, is less, and the patient sometimes spend 2 weeks for recover completely edema. Change. And I talk about the antivenom, and the antivenom that used in Amazon is the same antivenom that used in the whole Brazil, and is produced in Butantan. And this antivenom uses only 5 kinds of the Botrops snakes venom. And the Botrops atrox is a snake of the Amazon, isn't included in this pool of antivenom, but recover the systemic and the local effects. And for mild cases, the recommendation is 3 vials. The moderate case recommendation 6 vials, and the severe case 12 vials. Next. And how the group use and observe in this patient. There is a forms, systemic forms, and all these patients in hospital use the same forms for all the studies. Is a systematic evaluation. Use the metric for measure the centimeter of the edema, and use infrared for measure the temperature of the local. Next. And they used two years ago, the group started to use the tools. The tools is the name thermography, and the thermographic help the group for identify the spread the antivenom in the body of the patient. Because when I see this picture, and the bite is the left leg, for example, in the middle of the leg, but you can see they spread the antivenom. And the thermography is a good tool for the follow the spread with its recover or improve, for example. The next, look the difference with the thermography. When you see in the eyes, it's impossible see the dimension for the spread the antivenom, like they use the thermography, for example. Next. This is a panel about 2 patients, different patients. In the first line is a regular patients, is envenomation, and the day 0, the first, second, 3, and the 7 days after, and the patient in thermography recovered completely, they spread the antivenom. In the second line is a patient that developed a secondary infection, for example. And the day 0, the 1, the 2, and the 7 days is possible. We see in the right leg a concentration of the white color. because the temperature is very high, is developing a secondary infection that in the eyes is impossible see the dimension for the secondary infection, for example. Then these tools is a very, very good opportunity for comprehension better what happened with the inflammatory process of this patient. Next. And it is in Portuguese, sorry for that, but is a form, the systematic form that used for all the research in Amazon, because it's very better for the use for many projects the same time happened. And they use the same information, the same data, and because the patient is evaluation for the same group, is the same way, and they collect all this information for the statistical analysis is the very good, is the same for the different projects. And they use the bleeding, for example, evaluation about the edema, about the extension for edema, use the centimeter. Next. Evaluation the pain, for example, the color of the skin, appears the blister or hematoma or ecchymosis or necrosis is a good for the continual evaluations. The next. Then when the group observed they developed this signal and symptoms and the local signal and symptoms, is a curiosity with we got the antivenom. What more I can make for this patient? There is other complementary. There is other type of the treatment for take together antivenom. And the many professionals told about the cold and the hot package in the patient. If it resolve something or not, or include this procediment is a worst the time for the team of the health, for example, or this patient is a benefit for this patient. Then the group develop a clinical trial, and the 3 arms don't use nothing, only antivenom, and the other arms use antivenom together, cold package, and the other arms use antivenom together, hot package. And the outcomes concluded that don't resolve nothing, the hot and the cold package. Because sometimes I put hot inside the leg, put cold inside the leg, but for botrops, envenomation by botrops, don't resolve nothing. The myonecrosis, evaluate the myonecrosis is the same in 3 groups. Evaluated the pain is the same. Evaluated the temperature change because one use hot, the other use cold, but it's a strange association. And about the edema is the same too. Don't resolve nothing. Is a plus the job for no reduce nothing for this patient. But curiosity, and the patient that use the cold and the hot package develop a secondary infection, the same proportion, but developed more delayed secondary infection. What is this problem? When I passed, for example, 3 days for this patient is the time for discharge, for example, and this patient can develop secondary infection in your house and need to come back to the hospital. is a risk for the patient, because if my patient live in far area, for example, in rural area, need to come back to the hospital, I don't know if this patient will come back, because it's very difficult for the access the hospital again. Next. Then other treatment that the group talk about, discuss, is about the photobiomodulation. Is the popular name is laser. And the photobiomodulation is used for the many wounds, for example, for diabetic wounds, for use inside the mouth for odontologists, specialists, and with possible use in envenomation, in inflammatory process envenomation. And when the group researched about the photobiomodulation for the envenomation and found the studies about use in the rats, for example, and they work over the rats in the local damage from about myonecrosis. With resolve in rats, will be resolving in human. I will test. And the group developed the protocol and they use in the human, and two groups. One group use only antivenom and the other group use antivenom plus photobiomodulation. And these studies is very bad. It's very good. It's very better than the package, because it reduces more than 50% of myonecrosis in the photomodulation group, reduce more than 15% the pain of the group, the photobiomodulation, and reduce the edema too, and the only temperature of the skin is a measure that I need to understand more about this, but the other damage of the local signs reduce more than 15% when I use combination antivenom plus photobiomodulation. And this protocol uses the 4 gels and use once a day photobiomodulation for 3 days, consecutive days, and use the red and the infrared lights. Is a good protocol. And now in this moment, the second step for the photobiomodulation, that in this study perceives that that secondary infection in photobiomodulation group is the less than control group. And because this, and the second step is tested photobiomodulation for prevent secondary infection. Next. Then, but the challenge is about the local complication too. And the venom by Botrops atrox develop blisters. And these blisters is under the blister continue develop the wound, and the muscles is destroyed. The muscles in the inside the blister and the under the tissue is a question for the group. And because the group and aspirate the liquid of the blister and they tested in the lab. What was outcomes about the blister? Inside the blister, the test observed a venom and the antivenom in the liquid of the blister. But the venom didn't connect antivenom. And because this, the venom continue activity and the proteolytic activation, and destroyed the cells and continue the damage inside the blister. And after this, the recommendation is aspirate and break the blister or cut the blister and treat the wound, the ulcer, for example, for this patient. Next. About other complication for this patient is secondary infection. And my PhD was for secondary infection, for prevent secondary infection, use the clavulin, the clavulanato plus amoxicillin. This is a recommendation for the soft infection for the skin. But this result is worst for the snake bite. This recommendation is for about a bite for the dogs, because this recommendation is antibiotic, but two snake bite isn't good. Only 90% of the patient is a benefit for this antibiotic because their resistance, because the risk, don't recommendation clavulanato plus amoxicillin for prevent secondary infection. There is other study about the antibiotic for prevent, like esqueci os outros antibióticos. Chloramphenicol e tem mais um. I forgot. And today isn't a clinical trial that recommendation for prevent secondary effect, only for treatment. Only in front of the signs and symptoms like abscess or cellulite, you treat the infection. But for prevent, isn't a clinical trial that recommend the antibiotic. And or the observation for the patient in the hospital is about what the antibiotic use for the treatment secondary infection. And more than 114 patients, that observation, the secondary infection, the primary regime of the antibiotic is a different classes, different strategies for the treatment. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different strategies for the treatment, and need sometimes a secondary regime. But I don't know until now one antibiotic is approved, is a best antibiotic for the treatment secondary infection too. Next. And I bring some cases that appears in hospital too. And sometimes we have a dirt skin, for example, because this patient was suffered bite during the work in rural area, and we need clean the legs, clean the hands, for example. Next. Other cases, the patient can arrive in the hospital is a very good, normally the routine for the envenomation, like this patient, that the bite in the leg, and there is a mild edema, for example. Next. And the other patient that is a patient that skin is there is many damage, old damage in the skin. Look, there's many marks in the skin, and sometimes these marks is about the work. Don't use the boot, for example, and the patients suffer many damage. It is difficult evaluation the skin, for example. Next. And sometimes appears a huge edema in this patient. It's more easy for diagnosis, for classify this patient. Can you finger off the foot? It's very, very intensive edema. Change. Please. And sometimes ecchymosis appears in the patient the first day or second day or third day, for example, and this patient's ecchymosis and the cyanosis around the bite. And this ecchymosis in Botrops envenomation appears 4 days after the bite too, and the local of the bite is very common too. Pass. And sometimes the patient appears with the bleeding in the local of the bite too. Sometimes not. No, isn't a rule for the patient because it change with the patient walk, with the patient passed something, the skin change. And the other patient with ecchymosis, but plus the blood blister. And when they aspirated the blister for the test, the different blister with blood, without blood, don't matter. All the blister, there is a venom and don't connect antivenom because this all the blister aspirate or cut the skin and treat the wound. Next. And one case appears in the hospital that is the patient was an order disorder of disease in the skin. Is a vitiligo and is a challenge for what this inflammation is about the venom or is about the vitiligo, for example. Is a challenge for follow the patient and discover what happened with the patient. And the bite is behind the leg, no in front of the leg. Next. And the other patient appears with blister with secondary infection too. Inside the blister is a I don't know the name in English. Pus is a pus. Don't matter. There is venom inside the blister. I need cut too. Next. In this case, the patient appears with many blister. Sometimes one blister or sometimes many blister in all the leg. And they need aspirate all the blister too. Next. And the most of the local of the bite is closed, but sometimes it's open. Is a open wound. When this open, many professionals there is afraid for put the hand in this wound, but it's the same wound of the others. You can treat with topical, with the dressing, no problem. And this patient developed an ulcer, and this ulcer started the secondary infection too, and they use the antibiotic in topical, no problem. Next. And next. One more. Okay. And this patient is a curiosity case that developed a blister plus necrosis plus secondary infection. This patient spent 30 days in the hospital for recover all the wound. And this patient asked the discharge very early because the son and the daughter in the house, but need to stay in the hospital because it's a very complicated case, and don't need to amputate the hand. Finish very good. Next. And this curiosity case is a blister in the feet, and under the blister develop continual venom activate and lost the muscles. Look the bone of the finger, and appears one orthopedic surgery in the hospital. Is a father of the one student, medicine student, is a very glad for that. And this surgery made a different technician for the recover the finger. The name is a Figueiredo technique. I don't know in English, but put in the skin inside the foot, the finger, because the finger is a very small pieces. Is very difficult for the insert and put all the tissue inside this finger. Is a good technician to recover the patient. In the last change. And this case, the last case, is about an indigenous patient in remote area, and very far the big hospital, the very far for the access a good dresses, for example. But this patient was carried by a nurse in the remote area, develop a blister, but plus necrosis, plus muscle damage, and until 20 days, recover the finger, less the muscles is a problem for the movement for the finger, but recover with a simple procedures. Is possible help the patient too. Next. And this slide, I will finish. This slide is about a disability from Bothrops snake envenoming. Is a challenge for the group now, because when this patient discharged the hospital, the patient didn't come back to the hospital. If a patient needs something as assistance, for example, the patient doesn't have where take the assistance for physiotherapy, for example, or need a surgery procedure for recover the movement, for example. Is a very complicated in Brazil, and specializing Amazons, because the geographic is a very huge, is a very complicated. They transfer the patient or they give the good assistance. The next. And for the end is I will present very quickly about a guidance that the group developed in Brazil, developed in Amazonas, but all the species in Brazil, and the 4 species, the lancerhead, bushmaster, the coral snake, and the heather snake, included in this guidance for the clinical practice guidance. This guidance was validated for the specialist, and after the second validation, and invited the professional of the health, and in the finally, the next result in this guide of guide to the treatment of snake bites. This guide was published And in supplement of the article about the validation, there is in English and in Portuguese version. And the first item is the first ID, and until the 13th item is about the conservation of the antivenom. All the topics, separate topics for different procedures for the management of envenomation. And finish. Thank you. Thank you so much for paying attention.
Question for Professor Jacqueline. Question? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Very interesting. Congratulations on the work you are doing in Manaus. Great work. I have a curiosity. This thermography approach, can it be used to diagnose compartment syndrome?
I don't know yet. But use the thermography in all the products. Use the thermography, follow the photobiomodulation, use for the secondary infection, and using the biorepository that follow all these patients in the hospital. But I think another idea, and the group bought ultrasound, a portable ultrasound, and we included for all these patients. I think ultrasound is better than thermography for compartmental syndrome. With Doppler and 3 modalities in the same ultrasound.
Do you see more compartment syndrome in pediatric cases than in adult cases?
And I think it's the same, but I have a less case in pediatric, in kids, for example, then I need more time for the follow the patient for the measure the prevalence of this.
Thank you.
But about the thermography, I think it is possible because in the less temperature is the less circulation for the blood, and the thermography stay more blue, for example, in the area, than the other is in the white and the red area. It's possible too, but I think the ultrasound is more detect more faster than thermography. Okay.
Question, your observation about the fluid in the blisters that contains both the fluid in the blisters contains both venom and
the antivenom.
What's your theory behind why it's not working or finding
This analysis of the solution of inside the blister and the Ana Moura, included the Ana Moura, and it's a research in Butantan, and Jay Fox, the research in USA, looking for the answer for this question about the pH, for example, is the same, and about the calcium is the same, about the other molecules, but only observation is in 5 patients. In the biorepository collection, all the blister. In my fridge, I have more solution of the blister, and I made the other exam on the other test for the sometimes answer this question. Is a incognite yet? I don't know. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Now it is my pleasure to introduce my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Davor Ressier, who is going to reflect on the topic of One Health as applied to snakebite envenoming. Davor.
Good afternoon again. Good evening. I'm going to a little bit talk about snakebite envenoming as a health issue in the Caribbean. It's a paper that we published last year on the Pan American paper. So it's not only my reflection. I talk about all my team, Professor Tem Kalel from French Guiana, as well Professor Gutierrez, Professor Remy Nevia, and others. I'm not going to repeat what has said already Professor Gutierrez, but I'm very interested in talking about One Health. So as you can see, our interest as a clinician is to seize that opportunity in order to work together. And when you pull that word One Health, that's bring a message to us, to say to us, hey guys, you think medicine is just to be a good doctor, just prescribe, see your patient, and after you go to make party, like in a few minutes we're going to get the opportunity to eat. You believe that you are doing well when you look at the panorama, the epidemiology that Professor Gutierrez, you can see on his slide, 138,000 people, more than 100,000 people died with a high mortality rate. No. So we need to do something. It's not a new concept for the past, I think 30 years. One Health exists, but we were trying to work by ourselves, individually. One Health told us, no, that's not work. Let's work together. But if you're going to work together, guys, remember you have the environment. Remember you have those animals. For that we are here. So that is the association between those three, we and them, and the environment. This paper, I told you, the conclusion was straight. The One Health approach is imperative for really, that is to put ourselves together in the Caribbean. And after all, we said, as you said, it is time for a collective and interdisciplinary stride toward a solution that secures the well-being of all affected species and ecosystems. What is the really One Health concept? How can we, as a doctor, make an approach in this one? We're not coming here to repeat the same thing that everybody is saying all the time. The only thing we say, when we look at what is going on, there is an overlooked public health issue with high mortality and morbidity rates when we talk about snakebite. If we want to apply this concept, we believe we need to communicate better. We need to seize that opportunity to collaborate better. We need to to do what we call the coordinate, and we need to have new policies. This is what I was told this evening. And we need to not to be so selfish, to believe that University Hospital Lamina is all about, but what about the little animals? What about them? Small one. Them. Why sometimes we always talk about that human health, but we forget about the animal one, and we forget about our system. Right now, we're doing a big work at the University Hospital of Martinique about the environmental health, and you can see the next slide what we're going to bring. That is our snake. We have only one. That is the Botrops lanceolatus, named trigonocephale, what we call it fer de lance. Here also we have one. This is the little brother. Some of them say this is the cousin, but he's a brother. They look together. If you look at the Jaraca from Brazil, they have the head together. They have the same clothes sometimes, and they do the same things. So, but when we look at the panorama of 140,000 people, 30,000 deaths, and when we look at so much disabilities, look at the Professor Jacqueline presentation, you can see the secondary infection and others, so much disabilities. We cannot sit down and say we are happy because we have antivenom in some areas they don't have. We cannot be happy when, if it wasn't for Costa Rica and St. Lucia, we were still calling our neighbor to get some antivenom. It's time for us to seize that opportunity and to maybe bring a bank of antivenom in one of our countries in the Caribbean. When we look at this slide from Atem Kalel, you can see that is really, you see 130,000 deaths. We cannot be so happy. We had to wait 2017 for this kind of thing to declare, for the WHO to declare that disease as neglected disease. I think we are losing a little bit time, but we need, with that such kind of conference, we need to come with something new policies, maybe, and countries like St. Lucia and others to think differently and using the One Health. When we look at the death toll is unknown in the Caribbean, lack of antivenom, not in Costa Rica. When I ask my doctors, do you know that there is an antivenom in Costa Rica for those animals? They said, no, we don't know about that. I have one of my patients. She has a lot of snake in her house. She doesn't have only snake because sometimes she brings some avocado or something for me. That's great. She has bought a picture like that. She told me, this is the way the animal, they die. So I was talking to Jonathan saying that we have to do something, but we always talk about, we have good antivenom for the past 30 years, we don't have death, nobody died, but what about them? If you want to talk about One Health, you have to change the way you do medicine. You have to think about them too. Next. When we look at about the global impact of snakebite envenoming, so we can see that something has to be done, and the schema presentation, everything was there. I'm not going to repeat those things, but what we have to do at the end of the meeting, we have to pull something. To pull something. Is that a word we have to use? But when we have a mortality rate so high, it's not a word you have to use when we don't know what happened and Trinidad Tobago. We don't know really what happened to in Guyana, and we are satisfied? No, I'm not satisfied. Next. When we look at this thing by 2050, what they say in this paper, when in 2016 said, one person will die every 3 seconds because of snake bite. Some area you can say, no, I'm not in Africa, I'm not in Asia, as you can see so much death in Asia and India. Professor Gutierrez, he told us about that, but it's time for us, we as doctors, to bring something, practitioners to bring something. When we look at the same, you say, we need maybe to rethink about our healthcare system. Maybe there is something in the primary care we didn't do. Maybe we have to go back to Alta Alma. By 2000, we should have universal healthcare for everybody. But today, if you are satisfied for what you are doing, me in my case, I'm not satisfied. You can say, no, but in Martinique, we don't have death. But no, Martinique is not by himself. One Health is not for Martinique alone. One Health is to think about those little animals. Think about your environment. So when we look at causes, why we have so much problem like that, Chema said it. We have so much habitat destruction. You have so much pollution. We have so much overexploitation of species. We have so much invasive species. And we go back again to the climate change. So when you have all those things, you put them together, those 5 top, it's normal, you will have so much death and all those kind of pathologies, including the snake bite. Next. When we look at that, this slide is from Chema. So when you look at what I just said, climate change, poverty, migration, that increase the probability of contact with venomous snakes, but we don't know that kind of group what happened. People crossing the Central America, people going to Mexico and others to Chiapas. We don't know what kind of company they have sometimes. We don't know how many of them died. We need to explore that also. We believe that there is an increasing and probability of contact with those venomous and mortality also. Next. When we look at the environment, everybody's saying that's good, but no, we have, if we take only 10 causes of death related to the environment, you can see, if you look at the death toll for environmental disease only, is more than 13 million of people died every year because of some environmental disease. So it's not me saying that, it's WHO. So then again, One Health, environmental, human health, and animal health. So when we look at our environment, when we look at what happened in the Caribbean, other diseases, we can talk about sargassum, we can talk about diabetes. That's a chronic disease also. 70% of all our patients, patients coming to his emergency department, Jonathan, 70% of them, they have something to see or related to environment. If you agree with that, or if you not agree, it's not me saying that. But you can see, and the environmental pathologies, the death toll is more than 13 million of people every year. So how can we apply that? No, we're not going to be happy. When in 2017, you can see in the newspaper in French Guyana, when Professor Kalel told me, no, the situation is hard, man. A young guy, 39 years old, died. At this time, we didn't have proper antivenom and French Guyana, particularly, and Cayenne. So since then, we pull our teams together, the French Guyana teams and others, with the collaboration of everybody from UK, from Costa Rica. And today, we believe that we are doing a good work and the death toll is down. When we look at some papers, we don't have time because everybody, they want to go to eat. Everybody is hungry. But if you go to Canada, to North America, they say 9 deaths per year. But we look at that in this paper, you can see you still have some countries where the death toll is very, 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 very high in terms of population, in terms of superficie population. Go ahead. When we look at if you go into the Caribbean, if you do an overview, you can see there is several species. That's normal. 80%, 90%, they are from botrops. The challenge included geographic isolation, limited health care, resources, and climate impacts. This evening we talk about that. So we need maybe really, I don't know if we have people from PAHO, those big people with power, but we need to coordinate, to have a regional coordination in order to prevent and to bring responses to this problem. One health approach is good, the word, but what about those? It's not only to integrate the human part, but what about the veterinary, environmental health strategies? Or what are we going to do after that meeting? Are we going to promote collaboration across disciplines to address the root causes of snake envenoming in the Caribbean? Are we going to encourage sustainable and community-centered intervention? Those questions maybe we won't have response tonight. So in this paper, in 2018, Professor Gutierrez, with his help, we published this paper about what is the role of medical cooperation, medical and scientific cooperation to tackle the problem of snakebite. This is a good paper. We can see some countries in the Caribbean. Look, this is the first time we had an overview what happened in the Caribbean, where you can find antivenom, where there is none, where you have a death toll bigger than others. I took 2 from the French side. You have the French Guyana with a population like 600,000 people, but they put at this time 287, 300. You have several species, but the most venomous, we won't have time to talk about that. We have 5 of them. That's the botrops at Fox and others. We have approximately 50 cases or 70. We don't have until now. Professor Kalel and I, we don't have a clear epidemiology. So since 2017, after that first symposium, and we can say we have an antivenom in all the French Guiana territory. When we look at Guyana, new to French Guiana, we don't have so much statistics about that. When we look at Martinique, we can see the problem is solved. The problem is solved. There is no problem in Martinique, but no, we still have problem. We still have some people with sequela. We still have some people with mental or psychological, because when they come back to our unit, they explain to us they cannot sleep very well. They are thinking about the same animal, what they are going to do, if they are going to die after the whatever. And Martinique, those patients, they have less than 1 hour. They get the antivenom. If they live more than 1 hour of driving, we send the helicopter. We have a system that works, but we cannot say that. If we use the term of One Health, we have to think about St. Lucia. We have to think about Trinidad and Tobago. We have to think about Guyana. We have to think about those countries that we don't know what is going on really in terms of epidemiology, in terms of incidence or prevalence. Next. When we look at this paper, that's a viewpoint, snake and impact in rural communities. This afternoon, Professor Gutierrez told and talked, and he said everything about it. I'm not going back in this paper, but I like it. In this paper, they tell you, hey, guys, you believe that medicine when is not only to stay in your office and say you have some antivenom, you treat the patient? No. But you have to think about that community also, with them culture, with the way they live, and all those things with the one we use plants before sending the patient to a healthcare center. But I think primary care is a good approach if we want to talk about one health. When we look at this index about snake envenoming, if you take the human case, I think everybody's talking about it sometime. But this afternoon we learned that we cannot forget about the animal case, because we live in an environment, we live with them, and we have to think about them also. Sometimes they cannot talk, but they need us to use One Health and talk for them. When we look at this paper, the various species of snakes, this is from Professor Gutierrez. So also, St. Lucia is not out in the picture. You can see in the next slide about the voice. This is one of the new newspaper here. I think no one here wants to see his name and the newspaper saying that ancillary snake bite victim died. And that is sometimes the press. You have some kind of, so the voice said, St. Lucia fait de l'envenom extraction or whatever. So remember, you have the Botrops caribbeus. This is the little brother of our Botrops lanceolatus, which means that it's responsible for thrombotic stroke and others. So this is what we're trying to study now. Go ahead. When we look at the snake, they are the same. They look. In the case Fedelance, Botrops lanceolatus, you can see the distribution and the quantity. Professor Gutierrez will publish, sorry for that this paper. So until now, we are trying to work with the medical team here in order to sort out a clinical paper, because from the past 7, 6, 8 years, they are using the polyval from the antivenom from Costa Rica. It will be great for us to know what is going on, and we will do it, and we are working together. So the venom Botrops caribbeus has been largely studied by the team from Costa Rica, Professor Gutierrez. Now we know the composition of the venom. Now we know what to do, and maybe at the end of the meeting, we will give you a good announce. We will show you that we're not only working in order to treat patients, but we are working in an antivenom that will be maybe with the name of Caribbean something antivenom. So that's great if we can do that. But we are working closely with the University of Costa Rica, Instituto Colombia Picado, and others in order to bring something and that situation. Go ahead. So it's the same. You can go. That is the study of some papers, good papers from Professor Gutierrez. And while I was in Costa Rica, and I got to work with Professor Gutierrez on a protocol, and for the past years in St. Lucia, you have this protocol. This is what we use when the patient get bite, and you can use that protocol. It's almost the same protocol than us. You should have it everywhere in your clinics and your hospital. And thank you, Professor Gutierrez. He was the one to help me to write this protocol. And you can see, and if we use also the concept of One Health, you can see the collaboration is good. And when you get good collaboration, you can do things like that. And I believe that doctors here, they are very happy about that. So how will snakes poisoning evolve in the context of One Health is the question last year we asked in this last symposium. And today you can see that the problem is from farmers, from agricultures. The problem is the same group of people, but we have to think about them and to do better. Go ahead. So, as I say, in Martinique is well known, Botrops lanceolatus. We are working, we are doing some stuff. Now we go through research with Professor Nevier. We're trying to see why we have some such thrombosis. We talk about thromboinflammation. He has a big presentation, I think tomorrow. I invite you to come and to listen to him. Go ahead. And French Guyana, the country of Professor Atem Kalel, where we work closely, and you have some such venomous snake. The most important is the Botrops atrox. I think he's a brother of the Jaraka. Even the symptomatology, they are not so. They are even the consequences or the clinical presentation, they are not similar. So, what are the perspectives? I'm going now because everybody's sick, sleeping. So, we need to establish, I believe, a regional snake management networks. With DJ Martin, we were talking about that, but now really, I believe, after the symposium, we can talk seriously about that. We need to increase access to affordable and effective antivenom. I would like to have a bank of antivenom in Martinique, but not to sell, but to treat patients. And we need to promote community education and awareness campaign. This is what Professor Gutierrez said. We need to teach our nurses, to teach our people in the community, and Mikud, and I don't know, and Vefort. We need to teach them. We need to teach the fires. They are here. We need to work together closely with them. We need to enhance collaboration between human, animal, and environmental health sectors. We need to do that really this time. And after, I will ask Professor Gutierrez to help us. But I think we need to come out, and the 2 days coming, with something like that. That will be St. Lucia, I don't know, convention or St. Lucia recommendation. But I would like to see that. And my conclusion is we cannot talk after Professor Gutierrez. I just explained to you what my team, not only me, and the paper we wrote, the little paper. But there's a lot of things to do when we talk about One Health. I'm interested in the healthcare, primary healthcare. That is something I want to go back to. And I think effective management requires a multidisciplinary approach. When we work together, we do better. The One Health concept serves as a cornerstone of improved management strategy, integrating human, animal, and environmental health. Progress relies on global collaboration. This is what we're doing now, research and policy, advancements, paving the way for future directions. A Caribbean antivenom bank is essential to address regional needs and enhance preparedness. Thank you very much. I will do better next year. Thank you. If there is one question, not two. You have to go. But this is the first time Professor Papagain doesn't ask a question. But he's nice. The director of Samuel, he asks a lot of questions in another meeting. Today he doesn't ask questions, I know why. Because we say when we are outside of Martinique, we are one, not two. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. I think there's a question in the back. Go ahead, sir.
neglected tropical disease. That was in 2017. Has the WHO been involved in any substantial or insubstantial way in following up with that declaration? Have they done anything to assist in the work that's going on regionally?
Thank you. Can you identify yourself? Can you identify yourself?
My name is Pete Compton. I've been associated with this project as Professor Lucia from way back, and I take a keen interest in trying to foster whatever international relationship that I can come up with. I happen to know that the dean of the WHO Academy, located in Lyon, in Paris, in France, is St. Lucia. We can have access to it if necessary. If there's anything that can be done, we will do it, because it is St. Lucia. So I mentioned that.
Thank you very much. Professor Gutierrez is going to answer. That's his one health.
Who was the question? Okay. Thank you. This is a very important question because many people are wondering after this decision of 1970-1980 what has happened in the WHO. I have some information. I don't have all the information, of course, but WHO has established a program for snakebite envenoming within the neglected tropical disease department of WHO. So they have several people devoted to this topic of snakebite envenoming. Perhaps the most consolidated program that they have developed is a program of risk assessment of antivenoms to be used in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia. So what they are doing is inviting antivenom manufacturing laboratories to present a dossier and to provide samples of antivenom, and they are being analyzed, and this information is being used to say, okay, this antivenom or that antivenom has a good risk-benefit profile and can be recommended by the WHO. So this program is going on, and it will clear the path to see which antivenoms are good and effective in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia. That's a good program, a good advancement. And probably it will also be done in Latin America. That's one thing. The other thing is that WHO is proposing like a pilot project in sub-Saharan Africa for stockpiling antivenom. So some of the antivenoms that will be approved by the risk-benefit assessment, they will create a stockpile of antivenom to provide to health authorities in sub-Saharan Africa. They have been also organizing regional events with the regional offices of the World Health Organization to convey health authorities in the countries and so on. However, from the information I have from these people in WHO, is that particularly after the COVID, or as a consequence of the COVID pandemic, it has been very difficult to secure funds to support other lines of work. They are also working on creating like a toolbox, that's the term, a toolbox for prevention of snakebite in the world. That's another project that they have. And then they are stimulating the regional offices of WHO to take actions. I will talk tomorrow about what is being done here in Latin America by the Pan American Health Organization, which is doing good progress in promoting several actions. So my answer to your question would be, there are things going on, but we should expect more things, and that depends on the commitment of financial agencies to support this program. And this has been problematic. It has been difficult to secure funding to support the program. But they have a group working on that, and there has been progress. I am optimistic about what's going on.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Jonathan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Pajo, and for all you're doing. Thank you, Professor Gutierrez, for helping me. I would like to ask Professor, we have 5 minutes, 10 minutes left before we go to eat. Professor Nevia, about the One Health and Snakebite. This is my intro. Last year he told me he didn't like my presentation.
I have a question
Yes.
on the role of pesticide. You spoke a lot about health, global health, and one of the most frequent that could be involved in human health is pesticides. So my question is, do you have any information about the role of pesticide in the ground, for instance, on the biodiversity of the different snakes? And if I go a little bit further on the toxicity of different venom, do you have any information about that?
I will take the toxicity. The pesticide will take the toxicity.
Well, I think this is a very important point, and I don't think there is much information. There is evidently there is an effect of pesticide in the population of snakes, but this has not been documented. Perhaps this shrinkage of the distribution ranges of snakes has to do with pesticides or habitat destruction. What is interesting is that in some countries, particularly Sri Lanka, they have shown that people suffering from kidney problems due to pesticide use, when they are bitten by snakes, they develop acute kidney injury more easily, more frequently than people not affected. So there is a kind of synergy in terms of kidney pathology between pesticide and snakebite envenomation. But this is a field that is absolutely open for research, I think.
Pesticide. So, you can see, I just want to communicate with Nathan. I said, do we have something? The information we have in Martinique, we have some areas with pesticide, some areas with less pesticide, but there is no correlation, no differences between those patients who get bite and areas where we have more pesticide than others. So I would say, I would take another question. Professor no, there's no such influence between the zone and there's a few. I read something about and the venom of snake in areas with more pesticide or less pesticide, there was no difference. I'm ready. So we have some news for tomorrow. We have to go because somebody wants to eat. So we have some news for tomorrow. We start at 8 o'clock in the morning until 5. We have a lot of big sessions. Tomorrow will be really good because we talk about pathophysiology, we talk about a lot of things. And we have 2 rooms. This room, we will talk about all those things. And the other room, we will get the experience from Costa Rica. Professor Aaron is there. We will work together with my people in Martinique in order to help you the farmers, to understand or to manage better the snake. I don't know if you have some false snakes, because we're not doing really the federals here like that. You have to use another federal, human federal snake. So, that is it. What else? Thank you very much for your time, and it will be great to see you again tomorrow. Come invite everybody. All St. Lucia, 175,000 people. We have space for that tomorrow. Thank you very much.